Here's a weird little fact. The average millionaire in America drives a regular 4-year-old car, a Toyota, a Honda, nothing special. Meanwhile, the average person with less than $1,000 in savings is holding a $1,200 phone. Probably right now, possibly to watch this video, rich people looking poor, broke people looking rich. That's not a coincidence. That's a system. And everyone thinks buying a phone you can't afford is just stupid. Bad math. Here's the uncomfortable truth. It's not stupid. It's one of the most rational things a human brain can do. And that's exactly why it keeps people broke. This is the psychology of money. Why we buy things we can't afford, and why the richest people you'll never notice are playing a completely different game. By the end of this video, I promise you're going to catch your own brain doing it. Let's start with the guy I want you to meet. This is Leo. Leo's 24. He makes okay money. Not great, okay? And Leo just spent one entire month's salary on a phone. Not because his old one was broken. It worked fine. He bought it because of what happened at a party 3 weeks ago. Someone glanced at his cracked screen and made a face. Just a face. Half a second. Nobody said a word, and Leo's brain filed that half second away like a threat to his life. That sounds like an exaggeration. It's not. Because 2 weeks later, Leo couldn't tell you anything else about that party. But he could draw you that face from memory. So he walked into a store, slid over a month of his life, and walked out feeling safe. Weird word, right? Safe. Hold on to that word. Well, technically 1 month of his life, split into 24 easy monthly payments, which, funny enough, made it feel like not really money at all. Here's the thing. Nobody tells you about status. Your brain doesn't treat it like a luxury. It treats it like oxygen. Scientists spent decades studying baboons. Yes, baboons. And found something genuinely disturbing. Low-ranking baboons don't just have worse lives, they have worse blood. Chronic stress hormones, all day, every day, just from being at the bottom of the ladder. Their bodies are physically damaged by low status, and your brain runs on the same ancient hardware. For about 95% of human history, getting kicked out of the tribe wasn't embarrassing. It was a death sentence. Alone out there, you'd last maybe a week. So evolution installed an alarm. When your status drops, it doesn't feel like a preference problem. It feels like danger. So, that face at the party? Leo's brain didn't register an awkward moment. It registered, your rank is being questioned. Fix it. Now. And the fastest way to fix your rank in the modern world, you can't win a hunt. You're not going to fight anybody, but you can walk into a store and buy the shiniest object your tribe recognizes. Okay, but it gets worse. Because Leo isn't just status hungry. Leo is broke. And being broke does something to your brain that almost nobody talks about. 2 researchers, an economist and a psychologist, spent years studying what scarcity actually does to thinking. Their discovery: not having enough works like a virus on your mental bandwidth. When you're constantly worried about rent, bills, the car getting declined, your brain locks into a tunnel. Today's problems fill the entire screen. Next year doesn't exist inside the tunnel. They even measured it. Financial stress temporarily knocks out about 13 points of effective IQ. 13. That's a full night of lost sleep. Being broke means making every money decision of your life exhausted. So look at Leo again. Status alarm screaming. Brain in low power mode, locked on today. And in his pocket, a company is offering the exact thing his alarm demands. For only $49 a month. Is it really a mystery what happens next? And there's a third layer. Psychologists ran experiments where they made people feel powerless, just temporarily, a memory exercise. Then they showed them products. The powerless group didn't just want status objects more, they were ready to pay more for them. It's called compensatory consumption. When life takes away your sense of control, you buy the feeling back. The purchase was never about the object, it's a vote. A vote for a version of you that's doing fine. Which brings us to twist number 1, and I want you to sit with this one. Leo is not being irrational. Given the hardware in his skull, the status alarm, the scarcity tunnel, the hunger for control, buying that phone is the logical move. Every system in his brain is doing its job perfectly. The problem isn't that Leo's brain is broken. The problem is that somebody figured out how it works before Leo did, because none of this is a secret to the people selling to him. Why does the store put the $1,600 model front and center? Not to sell it. It's an anchor next to it. The $1,000 version suddenly feels reasonable. You didn't find a deal. You got repositioned. Why limited edition? Why lines outside the store at midnight? Because scarcity and social proof are the 2 oldest buttons in the human brain. And marketing is the science of pressing them on schedule. You felt it? A restaurant with a line outside must be good. A product with 10,000 reviews must be safe. Your brain outsources the thinking to the crowd. It's faster, and for 1,000,000 years it mostly worked. Marketers just learned to rent the crowd. A Roman philosopher saw all of this 2,000 years ago. No smartphones required. Seneca wrote, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor." Read that again. The craving is the product. The phone is just the delivery system. And speaking of people who cracked the code, let me introduce you to Frank. Frank is 61. Frank is worth about $8 million. And Frank is currently wearing a t-shirt with an actual hole in it, driving a pickup truck he bought used 11 years ago. If you saw Frank at a gas station, you'd honestly wonder if he's doing okay. So what is going on here? Did Frank simply rise above it all? Is he free from the game? In the 90s, a researcher named Thomas Stanley did something nobody had bothered doing. He went and studied actual American millionaires, door to door, real data, and the results broke everyone's picture of wealth. The mansions, the designer wardrobe, the champagne. Mostly not the millionaire. Most real millionaires lived in normal neighborhoods, drove boring cars, and bought $50 watches. The most popular vehicle among them wasn't European or luxury at all. It was an ordinary pickup truck, the same kind Frank drives. Stanley loved a Texas phrase for the opposite type, the Rolex, the leased BMW. Nothing behind any of it. Big hat, no cattle. All the signals of wealth, none of the wealth. And the data delivered a brutal punchline. A huge share of people who look rich are broke. And a huge share of people who are rich look like Frank. The obvious explanation, Frank got rich because he doesn't waste money. And sure, every dollar Leo mails to the phone company, Frank's dollar goes to work and multiplies. Wealth is exactly the stuff you don't see. The car's not bought, the upgrades skipped. Real wealth is by definition invisible. But honestly, that's the boring half of the answer. Here's the half nobody tells you. Frank's whole t-shirt is not humility. It's a power move. Economists call it countersignaling, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. Picture a ladder with 3 rungs. The bottom rung can't afford signals. No game to play. The middle rung screams its signal. The logos, the badges, the phone always face up on the table because the middle is terrified of being mistaken for the bottom. But the top rung signals by not signaling. Because when you're established enough, showing off would only prove you still need to. Walking into a bank meeting in a gray t-shirt says, "I am so far beyond your judgment, I didn't bother dressing for it." That's not modesty. That's the loudest flex in the room, played at a frequency only insiders hear. Steve Jobs wore the same outfit for decades. Zuckerberg made gray t-shirts a uniform. These are billionaires dressing like they lost a bet, and it reads as power, not poverty. And it goes deeper. A French sociologist, Pierre Bourdieu, spent his career proving that elites don't even compete with money. They compete with taste. The right wine, the right art, the unmarked $500 sweater that looks like a $50 sweater. Unless you know. Money can be earned in a year. The codes take a generation. That's why the loudest luxury is always bought by the newest money. The quiet ones didn't leave the game. They're playing a version you need a membership just to see. Which brings us to the real question of this entire video, not why broke people buy iPhones, not why millionaires dress badly. The real question is, what game are we all actually playing? An economist named Thorstein Veblen answered it in 1899, before Instagram, before iPhones, before television. He watched America's new industrial rich and wrote down the pattern. People buy things not to use them, but to display them. He called it conspicuous consumption, and it's the same disease in every century. French aristocrats in the 1700s bankrupted entire family lines buying silk outfits for one evening at Versailles. Because showing up underdressed didn't cost money. It cost rank. One of them, the king's own finance minister, threw a party so extravagant that the king took it as a challenge and locked him up for life. We made a whole video about him. Flexing at the wrong person used to be genuinely fatal. Sound familiar? The technology changes. The game doesn't. And here's what makes the game genuinely cruel. It has a treadmill built in. Remember how the new phone felt on day 1? Electric. Day 14? It's just your phone. The thrill can't stay. Your brain always resets to baseline. So the only way to feel it again is the next purchase. And the next. Each one bigger, because you've adapted to the last. If that mechanism sounds familiar from health class, yes. Same one. The mall and the dealer run on identical wiring. There's even a graveyard this creates, the drawer. Everybody has one. The old phones, the watch, the headphones, each one was, briefly, the thing that was finally going to change how people saw you. Now they sleep together in the dark. Oh, and the treadmill got an engine upgrade. For most of history, you compared yourself to your neighbors, maybe 40 people. Your phone now delivers the top 0.1% of the entire planet into your palm every morning before breakfast. And every face in that feed is someone's best day, filtered, cropped, and lit. You're comparing your Tuesday to the planet's highlight reel. The village is gone. We didn't speed up the game. We removed the finish line. So, can you quit? Honest answer. From the researchers, not from motivational posters, no. The game is welded into the hardware. Remember the baboons. Even people who loudly renounce status are playing a status game called Look How Above Status I Am. Monks compete on humility. You cannot leave the casino. You can only choose your table. That's what Frank did. He didn't stop playing. He moved from the table everyone can see to the one that compounds in the dark. The choice was never play or don't play. The choice is only which game and at what price. Which brings us back to the beginning. The millionaire in the used Toyota and the $1,200 phone. Maybe the one in your hand. There's an old paradox about this. When you see someone in a Ferrari, you don't think, wow, that driver is impressive. You think, imagine me in that car. Nobody sees the king. Everyone imagines the throne. The signal you paid for never actually arrives. 2,000 years ago, Epictetus compressed this entire video into one sentence. Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants, not because wanting is evil, but because whoever manufactures your wants owns your wallet. And hey, if you caught yourself somewhere in this video, good. That was the point. That flinch is the alarm system, and now you know its name. So here's my question, and be honest with me in the comments. Your last big purchase, did you buy it for what it does or for who it says you are? Because one of those was for you, and the other one, you never even got to keep. If this rewired something in your head, the next story is about 5 men who had everything and lost it all. It's on your screen right now.